Introduce you to our esteemed guests for this panel. I'll keep the introductions relatively short so that we can have the most time for discussion. Immediately here to my left is Honorable former Representative Talmadge Heflin. He wears many hats, but he's here today in his capacity as Director for Center for Fiscal Policy at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. And to his left, we have the Honorable former Representative and Professor Sherry Greenberg. She's currently a professor at the LBJ School and has also been a former Texas State Representative. And before that, she was Manager of Capital Finance for the City of Austin. And then finally, on the far left is Mr. Fred Sipp, and he is the editor for the Austin American-Statesman. So they're going to each discuss the topic of open government a little bit, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Are exciting times for people who value transparency in government, open government, because of the kind of project that the LBJ School is working on, and the kind of initiative that I believe the comptroller talked about earlier. That is the effort to take government information and post it on the web in a way that is easily accessible, easy to manipulate, so that we, whose tax money is being spent, can follow the dollar. As a practicing journalist for nearly 30 years now, or actually maybe it is 30 years now, you know, it's a cliche in our business that we follow the money. That's how we pursue most any story about particularly local and state policy. How money is spent, who's getting it, who's deciding how it's spent, those are all critical questions. And they also, I believe, are critical questions to anybody who's interested in good government. So efforts by the comptroller, you know, at the local level, there's a great friend of open government up in Marble Falls by the name of Peyton Volcott, who is very aggressive about browbeating school districts into posting their check registers online. She does it around the country. People like that are doing this all enormous good. But at the risk of sounding ungrateful, I'd like to offer a caveat, and that is there's difficult work that remains to be done. While check register information, budget information, is extremely helpful in deciphering what our governments from local to federal are doing, what you get there is, by its nature, quantitative information. And in the absence of some context, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. And that context might be as simple as a purchase order, an invoice for payment, a policy paper, minutes of a discussion by the governing body, all these other documents that surround the simple numbers in the check register. And in Texas right now, in Texas, the record is not as good in terms of taking that sort of contextual information and certainly making it available online. Now, admittedly, that's a serious technical issue to be resolved, getting all these documents online after they've been properly redacted for confidential information and made available to people who want a deeper understanding of what's going on. But it's not an insoluble problem, and it's one we ought to be working on. It's the next step, I think. Those of you who are from Austin will recall that a couple of elections ago, 2 elections ago, I believe it was, we had a proposition on the ballot essentially to make every government document available online, and I think it was a proposition that was offered before its time. I'm not sure there was a technical solution at the time, but nonetheless, we need to be finding one. And let me give a couple of examples why. We know, the people of Texas know, that several years ago our governor took some trips overseas with his security detail to attend various functions in the Middle East. I think Turkey, he went to various points, Bahamas. He took his security detail. Reporters for the Austin American-Statesman and the San Antonio Express-News asked for the vouchers showing how it is the security detail managed to spend, if I recall correctly, something along the lines of $250,000 on these trips. I think that's the number. Don't hold me to that. It was a substantial sum. And the DPS passed along the request to the Attorney General, as is its right if it does not believe the information is public. The Attorney General ruled that it was public, emphatically public, under what's called the super public provision of the Public Information Act. The DPS appealed to district court, as is its prerogative under the law and lost. Appealed to the Third Court of Appeals, where it is now. And so the Statesman and the San Antonio Express-News have $25,000 in costs trying to get this information that we believe is by law public, that the judges and the Attorney General have ruled by law is public. And we fully expect to win every step of the way, except perhaps at the legislature. Because this session, a state senator from this area introduced a bill that would take DPS travel vouchers and make them confidential, unlike any other voucher in state government, in government period in Texas. And the reason, the argument is that the travel vouchers give terrorists details they might be able to use to threaten the governor's safety in the future, and therefore violate his common law right to privacy.